Also complete coverage on the big football games of this Saturday, and there are none bigger than the one that will unfold in prime time here at Stanford, the first ever top 10 matchup on this campus. Oregon and Stanford, the de facto championship game in the Pac-12 North.
Oh. Hey, welcome back to Stanford. All right, David and Des, I'm going to need you to figure this one out for me right there. Put that together for me. What does that mean?
I have no clue.
Wow,
is that mathematics?
I need a pen and a pad for that one. In about a half an hour.
I got to tell you, I went to the Meet We Eat in the University of Florida my senior year. We didn't have math problems like that. Well, while many Stanford players have admitted this week, this is the game they've been waiting for since their 21-point loss in Eugene last year. But their quarterback, Andrew Luck, who could definitely solve one of those math problems out there, swears he didn't return to school this season for big primetime matchups like tonight against the Ducks. Just wanted to come back to school and play football with his buddies. Now, if Andrew Luck is able to win tonight, then he'll be able to celebrate a North Division championship with his buddies. And a lot of people are, of course, saying if he can win tonight, does that mean he'll win the Heisman? We'll ask David Pollack about that later on in the show. According to Ducks D-Cord, Nick Aliotti, he's the total package best quarterback in the league by far. LaMichael James talking about the Heisman. He was a front runner for that entering the season, but of course he missed a few games with that elbow injury. He's supposed to be better. Here's both guys complimenting each other.
Best quarterback I've ever seen in my life. Throws the ball well, and, you know, he can run a little bit, too. He really is a phenomenal quarterback.
I think he's just a very explosive athlete. You know, he can go 80, or he can, you know, stick his head down and get that 1 yard if he needs it. He's incredibly dangerous and explosive, and, you know, can run out of the backfield, can catch out of the backfield, can do a lot of things. So a very dynamic player.
Unlike last week's game of the century, LSU-Alabama, that was a defensive struggle. Tonight, this game on the opposite end of the spectrum. Power versus speed. Both teams rank in the top 5 in scoring offense, top 10 in total offense. Welcome in three-time All-American David Pollack, and of course Heisman Trophy winner Desmond Howard. They can't do math problems, but they can answer some of these questions. And Stanford...
Slow it down for us.
Yeah, well, Stanford would like to know how to stop Oregon's offense. Give it to me.
I think everybody would. And I think LSU has a good blueprint, but it's just about having depth that you can rotate in and out. But the key to stopping Oregon's offense is patience, because they're going to get yards. They're going to go up and down the field, and they're going to have a lot of success. Don't let them hit the home runs, which they do a lot. They have a lot of big plays, but try to do a good job of tackling in space and try to limit those big plays. And also, Stanford did a great job a year ago. They put the ball in Darren Thomas's hands. Don't let Kenyon Barner, don't let LaMichael James and DeAnthony Thomas be the ones to beat you. Last year, he had about 100 yards rushing, over 100 yards rushing. Put it in his hands. Make him be the runner, because otherwise, those other guys are going to make you miss all day long.
You know, I like Stanford's offense, too, though. Now, what really impresses me about their offense is not just Andrew Luck, but it's the way that they can run explosive plays out of various formations, especially the tight formations that teams use for short yardage and goal line situations. Using the Home Depot playbook, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. I like the way they try to get numbers to look to the right. The defense has 6 tacklers on that side to just 4 blockers. What does Stanford do? They pull the backside guard, and the fullback leads through the hole. Now you got 6 on 6, an explosive play from a very tight formation. Same situation here. 6 tacklers on the left side to just 3 blockers. But what does Stanford do to get a hat on the hat? They pull the backside guard, the fullback, and the backside tight end. 6 on 6, a hat on the hat, another big play. And then when they run the ball so well, they get the guys on the second level, the linebackers and the defensive backs, to bite up on the fake, and then you got a guy wide open for play action pass. I think they do a tremendous job of running different plays out of the same formation, and then they pound you, and then the defense comes up and they hit you with a play action pass for a big one. I'm really impressed by the way they put them tight formations, though, and then defenses can't stop them.
No. All right, well, so much on the line for Stanford tonight. Not only the national championship, of course, you talk about the North Division, the Heisman. I got to say for a minute, Des fits in with the intellectual look here, the glasses. I feel like you're ready to teach us a class.
I feel like my IQ went up a couple of notches, you know what I mean?
Mercy.
Are those real days? Do you need those glasses?
Yeah, right
Yeah,
there.
exactly. You don't get up there in age, you know. So.
Hey, staying in the Pac-12, of course, UCLA, they haven't given up after an inconsistent season. They still control their destiny in the South Division. Artie Finn at cornerback. They're going to be without Aaron Hester, suspended for the first half of the game today against Utah. He had a little bit of tweeting issues this week, too, talking about the officiating. Think before you send. Put your glasses on and think before you send, people. Come on now. Hey, coming up on College Game Day, could the Auburn Tigers put a crimp in Georgia's SEC championship game plans? We'll hear from Gene Chizik and find out why one of our guys says Stanford's run to an unbeaten season ends right here.
It's time to kick off. To your city. And if you want to if you want a little zing in your zang zang, if you want a little zing in your zang zang, come along, come along, come along, come along. Yeah, we're coming to your city.
Thank goodness for the Cheez It Real fan cam. We need some excitement here. I'm impressed with the crowd. What do you think?
A lot of signs.
Herbie has nothing for me. It's because he's trying to figure out some of these signs here. Who is it?
Exactly. Takes time.
The best in the business, Andrew Luck. Will he win or lose the Heisman? We'll talk more about that. And will the Quack Attack send the Cardinal to their first loss of the season? One of our guys says yes, sir. I have a feeling there was a lot of time spent in class this week in Stanford just thinking up these signs. Do you think? No, not at all. These people have bigger and better things to study up on, unfortunately, not their Saturday game day signs and on ESPN. Some of these Stanford signs, a sign I know what they're saying, game over Oregon. I'm sorry, of course the game's on ABC. Game over Oregon for the little Oregon Trail game. What do you think?
I think Oregon's going to win this ballgame. And when you look at Stanford, I like what they've done, and I like their mentality. I like how they run the football. I like Andrew Luck. Too much speed. Too much speed with LaMichael James, DeAnthony Thomas, Kenyon Barner. They're going to have a field day. Andrew Luck will have a chance if he has the ball last. I think he can score, but I don't think they're going to win the ball game.
Calm down. I got this. Listen, all the talk about Andrew Luck in the offense, everyone overlooks their defense. They're #1 in total defense in the conference, #1 against the rush in the conference. So I think they're going to stop the run, and they're going to beat the Oregon Ducks. I got Stanford in the close.
But they struggled against USC, though.
That's okay. That's how football goes. Sometimes you struggle.
They played two teams with an offensive pulse. Washington and USC, both of them had field days against that #1 defense in the conference.
How are you doing on your picks this year? Is Des blowing you away?
No, we're doing all right.
Yeah,
back and forth. Yeah, we don't keep it score too much.
We'll have to see how these two work out. All right, coming up on College Game Day, more from Mark and Lou. They'll tell you if Andrew Luck will actually win or lose that Heisman. Plus reports from all around the college football landscape.
If you want a little ting in your tang tang, come along, come along, come along, come along. Yeah, we're coming to your city.
We continue our coverage from Stanford this morning. How smart do you feel?
Some very creative signs that we'll show you throughout the day.
When they go mathematic formula on me, I'm done. Injuries on Stanford that we'll keep an eye on today during the matchup against Oregon. But let's talk about this game tonight. If Stanford's able to beat the Ducks, let's talk BCS, let's talk January, let's talk national championship. If they beat the Ducks, will they play for a national championship?
Yeah, and we're projecting a little bit down the road, so it is tough to do.
But that's what we do.
No, I agree. But the way Oklahoma State's playing, I would say no. I think Oklahoma State, now you got Oklahoma with Ryan Burroughs being out with a year for a torn ACL. They're a little bit less potent. Dom Whaley, their other best offensive player besides Landry Jones. I still don't think they would. I think Oklahoma State has a good chance to run the table. But they can still win the remainder of their games because the toughest challenge, Notre Dame, they'll beat Notre Dame.
Say Oklahoma State loses. would you put Stanford in the national
If
championship?
they win this game, yeah, they'll be in the national championship. If they lose, they're completely out because of the strength of schedule. But this is a big game for them. This is a big game for Andrew Luck and for the Stanford Cardinals.
Stanford in the national championship over a one-loss Alabama.
An undefeated Stanford?
Yes.
Absolutely. 100%. Not even a question.
3 weeks.
For sure. Let's go to the big one in the Pac-12. Game day will be there as Oregon takes on Stanford. The last time Stanford lost, it was last year to Oregon. Their only defeat since then. They've won 17 in a row. Coach, take your pick.
I think Stanford's going to be lucky. I think Andrew Luck, the quarterback, he's outstanding. Plus, they're at home. I know that Stanford is beaten up a great deal. But when you look at these two football teams statistically, they are so even. It's unbelievable, whether you're talking about offense or defense. I think the fact that Stanford's playing at home, they have an awful lot riding on this. Their national championship implications, in addition to conference championship, I look for Stanford.
In this series, the first team to 50 the last 2 times they played wins. It will be Oregon getting to 50 first, and they will win this game because they're getting healthier. How about Darren Thomas coming back last week? Threw for only 1 touchdown, but 169 yards. But the key, LaMichael James, over 150 yards rushing last week. He's getting his rhythm back. He's healthy also coming into this football game. Last year against Stanford, LaMichael James, 257 yards rushing, so he's confident they're a second-half football team. They'll spread them out, use their speed, they'll win the game.
Oregon's a different team away from home than they are at home. I look for Stanford.
A game that will dramatically affect the BCS standings on Sunday night. Should be a good one. That's going to do it from us for now. Let's head out back to California and Aaron.
Ryan, thanks so much. I need a translator for some of these signs. I'm so confused right now. This is not a good sign.
Just ask him. He'll tell you.
You know who we need? We need Andrew Luck to help us out with that. And speaking of Andrew Luck, tonight, a lot of people saying this is the game. He could win the Heisman. What do you think? Will he win or lose the Heisman tonight?
Yeah. First of all, if he plays well and they win the ball game, you can put it in bubble wrap, put it in a case, and go ahead and ship it to him. Because
do they do that?
He's going to be, yeah, they'll do it for him. He's going to win the Heisman for sure. But if they lose this ball game and he plays bad, it becomes more of a race again. The gap between him and Trent Richardson is like one of the top 5 gaps you've seen in the whole Heisman voting history when you talk to a guy like Joe Tessitore. So I think if he wins and he plays well, it's a wrap. If he loses, the Heisman Trophy goes up for grabs.
And if he loses and he doesn't play well, you know, you mentioned that gap between he and Trent Richardson. What happens there?
I think the gap comes up, and then you start talking about guys like Brandon Whedon.
Right.
He should be in the mix anyways. The guy threw for 500 yards last week, but if his team keeps winning, it's all about the national championship contention. Trent Richardson's going to slowly lose some of those votes because they lost a ball game. So it's all about winning on a big stage.
It's all about winning, and it's all about tonight. Please check it out on ABC at 8 p.m. Enjoy your Saturday.
Of the day. Number 7 heads to number 4, Stanford. Both teams are averaging over 500 yards of offense per game. These teams are averaging nearly 50 points a game, you guys. Stanford obviously thinking about a national title, but they can clinch a spot in the Pac-12 championship today with a win. So cards up, 3-2-1.
He had to go with his alma mater.
Well,
Come
for
on.
good reason.
It's not even a question.
Not like it's an underdog or something. Why Stanford, aside from the fact that you went there?
Okay. Oregon's defense is not what it was last season. Stanford's rushing offense, 17th in the country. Big, nasty, mean, smart offensive lineman up front.
Smart.
Right?
The time they're going up against the 58th ranked rush defense in the country. The time of possession will be so drastically in Stanford's favor, they'll keep all those Oregon playmakers off the field. And just think back. When Oregon played LSU and LSU went to the power run game, Oregon got worn out.
Yeah, you make a good point, John, but I'm not buying it. I look at this Stanford team. I look at the Stanford team, and they have not figured it out yet. Oregon has averaged 46 points on Stanford since they installed the spread offense. And look what Stanford did against Chris Polk. Chris Polk ran all over him, 144 yards. When Oregon had an opportunity to go against Chris Polk, they held him to 80 yards. So I know this defense may not have all the lights and all the attention, and their offense may not might get as much pub as Andrew Luck, but they can score a lot of points. And Stanford, some of their best players are missing. Owosu, Ertz, Toilolo is kind of banged up. So
he's playing, though.
He's going to play.
Owusu's not playing. Ertz isn't playing.
That's a big part of their offense.
They're going to pound the football. the Stanford run defense, yeah, they've let some big plays slip by them, but they're still number 3 in the country.
Let's check with the nation, you guys. Obviously, if you like
yes,
you're gonna like this game.
You got Andrew Luck scoring the football.
Really close. Look at that.
Come on, Oregon.
I'm disappointed.
Take it down quickly. Well, Stanford looks to keep their offense rolling tonight against Oregon. Andrew Luck has the Cardinals scoring almost 50 points a game this year, and they might need to score that many to get a win against a high-scoring Oregon team. So can Stanford put up at least 40 today? What do you think, Johnny?
Yes, absolutely. Stanford is going up against this Oregon defense that's 62nd in the country and in the red zone, where it counts, where you got to put points on the board. 52 of 52 this year, 41 of those being touched.
Averaging almost 50, as I said, and they put up at 37 points, at least 37 points in every single game. What?
Oh, come on.
I'm all easy. No, apparently
What's with all the duck love?